People have been on the fence about Kevin Gates for a while now because, well, on one breath he says something really positive, and then on another breath you hear him talking some crazy cockamamie scheme. Well, just like with all the crazy people, they have moments of brevity of times where they can be like, yeah, I'm smart. And then the next time you're like, who are you talking to? That happened with Kevin. And we're about to show you something. Now, please, if you are the kind of person that your spirit gets troubled by things, this will trouble your spirit. But we'll break it down and what possible meanings there could be behind it, but more so the implications with the smallest person in this video. So take a look.
Yeah, I did magic on my brother yesterday.
She powerful.
I know.
Now, in case you couldn't hear very clearly, at the beginning of that video, the little girl says, I was doing magic on my brother last night. And so Kevin shut her up, put his hand over her mouth, and the smile that you saw on his face was almost like if the cameras weren't on, this dark-eyed, for lack of a better word, evil look came across his face. The child proceeds, after he's done covering her mouth, to say, why did you? And then he covers her mouth again with his chin, and she finally turns to the side and asks him, why did you do that?
She powerful.
I know.
You know.
Because in her mind, I'm just doing what we do. I'm just telling people what we do at home. It's normal, ain't it, Dad? He tells her there are too many people in the room right now.
That's a lot of people right there.
She's sweet.
Now, if you want to think that it's a one-off, maybe listen to the rest of the video when he asked the lady, why do you always speak through your familiar? If you're not familiar with familiars, they're demonic entities that people bring alongside them to accompany them. And then he proceeds to tell her that he has 10,000 angels that he can just command at his behest.
Why you don't never just talk for yourself? Why you always talk to your familiar? You know, you supposed to give them the orders. They don't supposed to give you the orders. You the controller. I got 10,000 angels in here with me right now at my command.
Now, I'm not sure people understand this, but those are not angels. Those are demons. Clearly, unequivocally, demons. Now, while Kevin's an adult, do what he want to do, whatever, fine. Here's the biggest problem. He is now influencing and bringing his child into this. She said, I did magic on my brother yesterday. The questions are, what kind of magic? Are these ritualistic, sadistic? Well, we know they're satanic, but to what ends is she doing magic on her brother? Now, people will look at it, well, what they just talking about is that kids will play with each other all the time and blah, 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 blah. Here's the difference. I don't recall ever a child saying, I did magic on my family member or my friend, saying it and having the parent be so paranoid about what they're saying that they would cover the child's mouth. If it's just routine, everyday, hocus pocus stuff like, you're a newt, and they just got a stick in their hand or something like that, that's one thing. Still not right, but it's one thing. As opposed to a child telling you, I just did blah, 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 and you quickly move to, you're hiding something. Something happens in your home. One that you've made the child feel comfortable enough with, but you don't want the child so comfortable with it that it tells everybody else what's going on in your home. Hey, and again, this is not our making stuff up. We are simply showing you that they have no fear anymore. They're passing on their darkness to the next generation. What are we doing? Complaining about it. Are we teaching our kids the same thing? You see, they're more than willing to brainwash their kids with the devil. How come we ain't willing to brainwash our kids with God? What's up with that? Ain't that kind of odd? Anyway, back to Kevin. And if you watch when he pulled away to talk about his angels, his entire body is submitted to exactly who he follows. This is not by accident. Kevin is not a believer in God for whenever he tells you that, he does not believe in God. He believes he is. He believes that he is God. And if there is a God, he probably thinks he can command him to do whatever he wants as well. I don't remember God ever telling us he left 10,000 angels for us to command at our whim. Now, I'm not doubting that Kevin has something that he controls. No, no doubt that he has some sort of entity that's with him all the time. I have zero doubts about that. However, I will refute his claim that it's of a good and light nature. I'd venture to say that it is anything but that. And if you listen to the lady he's talking to, she herself speaks an awful lot like a lot of these spiritual guru people.
Don't talk, sweetheart. It's okay. You're a silly man. I can talk to kids.
Oh, I am loving talking to kids and blah, blah. You know, that effervescent kind of flow on the voice and just trying to intrigue. Who else does that? You ever realize how they approach children? People in general. Hi, little one. Hey, you don't get too loud. You don't get too over the top. You see the similarities, right? You understand what that means. They're appealing to a nature in us that wants. They're pointing to a part of us that wants to be brought in. They know exactly how to do it. Some of us want to be consoled, some of us want to be lured, and other of us need to be commanded, which is the kind that Kevin does. Very strong, assertive. Why else would he have done what he did with his child if he wasn't trying to be the dominant, assertive self? 2, why would he silence somebody that is doing something if you consider it good? Because you know better. And 3, what exactly did he have his child doing? We've seen tons of examples from multiple people where they do these pentagrams on the floor, or they have some sort of a liquid and they drink it, or in some cases like LeBron, a powder. In some ways they do signs and symbols before they do their job. The real question is exactly what is Kevin doing to his family, to his kids, and for himself? Because at the end, what he said was what? I've sacrificed a lot to get this.
I sacrificed for this shit though.
See, when we tell people Hollywood's a place of sacrifice, and they say, well, yeah, you got to give up your time, give up your work hard, 11 to 11 and stuff like, no. Here's out. The word sacrifice means something to these people. It is not just giving up stuff. Didn't the crazy one, Kanye, say the same thing? He sacrificed his mom.
My mom ain't here. My mama was sacrificed.
You don't hear them saying about sacrifice over and over and over? And we're supposed to just think, oh, it's just a matter of time. And no, it's compromise on every level of your life to get what you want. And all the parts where Kevin liked to throw aside the allegations that he was getting to this point because of giving up certain parts of his body, I honestly was starting to believe that he did. I would not be the least bit surprised if you hear that he was involved in some of this stuff going on. With the big names, I mean, the Jay-Z's of the world and the Puff Daddies of the world. I wouldn't be surprised if he got caught up even on Epstein Island. I would not be surprised. Why? Because he is already given over to that. No one's going to talk about how he handled his child. No one's going to talk about what kind of proximity he's put his hands to, where he put his hands, and how he did it. But those matter. The entities are telling him how to do it, though. His familiar, his 10,000 angels. Not much is being talked about when it comes to him, and we understand why. Because he does a really good job, like most of them, of bringing you in with some truth, and then the rest is absolute debauchery and evil. But he'll bring in the crowd saying, yeah, I gave my life to God, or, God's good, or God's blessed me, I don't got to worry about people. It sounds really good. Really good. And it sounds so good that you will walk to him and say, man, tell me how you made it. And then he said, well, I made sure to keep my circle small. And then he starts telling you about who is in that circle. Then he tells you, you got to sacrifice, though, to get here. You see, they tell you everything out loud. Even when they try to hide, they tell. You know why they can't help but tell? They can't help but tell because they want others with them. They understand the darkness that they're dealing with. They fully know how bad it is. They just don't care. Whatever veil is being lifted in 2024, I'm here for it. But at the same time, can you say it's being lifted? Or, hear me out, We have allowed them to become so comfortable there's nothing left to lift. There is no more veil. They don't need one. We don't have to lift anything anymore because they're coming forward with it. It's all known now. Corey constantly makes these examples of people walking in your house, and the first time somebody walk in your house, they don't wipe their shoe. They just kind of walk in and you don't say nothing. Okay. Second time they come over, now they wipe their shoe, one shoe, and then they take the next one and wipe it on your bed. You don't say nothing. Third, fourth, fifth time. By the sixth time they come in dirty, mud all over their clothes, and they go lie down on your couch, lie down on your bed, put mud on your counters, put their feet up on your table, and go to sleep. And you say nothing. Then you turn around and watch your house and you're like, man, my house is dirty. How did it get like this? You kept allowing this dude to come into your house with mud on his shoes, mud on his clothes, rub all over your bed. You allowed that. You allowed that. So when you finally see your house dirty, you think it's because a veil was lifted on your eyes? No, the dirt was just constantly coming into your life, piling up, and you did nothing to stop it. We are here because we've allowed it. No veil is being lifted. I'm convinced now there's not a veil being lifted. I am convinced now that the evil has done its job to lull us into this spot, and now it no longer has to hide any of its activity because there's nothing anymore we can do about it. And I mean on a grand scale, we can't. Only people we can save now are the ones closest to us. It explains why someone can get on screen and talk about familiars and entities around them that have to do with the demonic. One other point, if you go back and watch his eyes after he's covered his child's mouth, I think it'll give you a much better picture of exactly who Kevin worships. And if he does have that in his wheelhouse, where he does keep the devil close by, imagine what's happening to the children. In a lot of ways, we're watching live TV every time, and real world access and glimpses into the spiritual realm. And it is a scary place considering that we've allowed it to get to this point. And when I say allow, I don't think that we could have stopped it, but we could have alerted to a lot more people that it was coming and save a lot more. But we didn't. Little, too late, maybe for some. But there's still time as long as we're alive to stop this nonsense. At least to the ones that will listen. And while Kevin was afraid that there were many people listening, I am glad that there are. And the more of us that listen, the better off we'll be.